All right, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Light of Insight. I'm your host, Nina, and today, this afternoon, we have a very special guest, and I am just so excited to introduce Leanne, who was also in the same coaching program as me, the Dharma Coaching Institute, and we were also in the same coaching pods where we practiced coaching together every week for almost half a year. And I'm just so thrilled and grateful to introduce this beautiful soul, and that is Leanne. Hello.
Hi, Nina. I'm so excited to be on this with you. I'm so glad we reconnected, and can't wait to have this amazing conversation.
Oh, same here. And also to note for my listeners, so Leanne is a mindset coach, and she also does incredible travel, lifestyle, life living and content creation. And I just always love to see her posts and what she's been up to, where she's traveling, what she's feeling and experiencing. So I think this is going to be a really beautiful conversation, especially for those people that need a little bit of inspiration with maybe what they want to do next to kind of like set their soul on fire a little
Yeah.
bit to create some more of a, I don't know, a different feeling in their life. Because I've been talking to a lot of my friends right now that are just feeling so, whether it's stuck, bored, just not on the path that they feel like they're
Mm.
meant to be on. I think this is going to be a really good conversation and a conversation of inspiration for those out there that are feeling that way. But before we get into all of that, I do want to ask you, like I ask all of my guests, what is lighting you up right now?
What is lighting me up right now? Wow, that's actually such a good question. I feel like honestly everything. Like, I know that sounds so cliche, but I try to stay curious with everything. Like, even like the smallest thing with ordering food at the restaurant, I'm like, oh, what is this? Like, I'm so excited to like try something out, or like so excited to meet someone, so excited to like have some conversations, and like just trying to make everything fun.
Mm-hmm. And what is it about these most simple moments in life, like ordering food at a restaurant or meeting someone? How do you make that fun? Like, what is it about that moment that lights you up?
I feel like because I tend to be a person who overthinks a lot. Like, yes. And I always, think about all the possibilities of something going wrong, something going right. And now I've learned that the best way for me to approach these thoughts is just to just to try to go back to when I was a kid, when I would be so curious about everything, like, oh, what is this? What's gonna happen? Who is this? Like, just asking myself these questions, that really puts my mind at ease, and it just try to see everything as like a fun game.
I love that. I love that so much. It sounds like you've been becoming more masterful at the art of mindfulness, basically, and like really being able to observe the thoughts, understand that the overthinking, the overanalyzing, it's just there to protect you,
Mhm.
perhaps, and you can still just be in the present moment with thoughts like this, but you don't need to get wrapped all into them.
Yeah.
That's such a I think mindfulness is so mainstream now, but it's just talked about in theory. Like actually practicing it is so different. So
Yes.
different. Can
Yes.
you give like a little bit of like a tip? How can you did kind of with reconnecting with your younger self and being more curious and having this kind of more childlike awe when just doing the basic things in life. But for those overthinkers out there and the analyzers and the people that just cannot get out of their head in their day to day, what is something that you like to do to connect
Mm.
more with yourself?
I definitely do still have this, like these moments where I overthink, where I worry. I think it's so normal. And for me personally, I like to just write down everything that I just put my thoughts to words. I'm a writer, like I love writing, so I journal a lot. Even just on my iPhone notes, I literally have a note where when I feel myself spiraling or having a lot of thoughts, I just write everything down. And afterwards, you read it, you just realize like, oh, this is so simple, or like, these thoughts are so like normal to have, and it's nothing to be like freaked out about. Like even the simplest thing of like going into like a work meeting and being so scared and afraid, that like, oh, my boss won't like me, or oh, like, what will they think of my ideas, and just writing these things out and seeing things from like a real perspective, like, oh, I do have good
Mm,
ideas, like I spend a lot of time on my proposal, and if they have criticism, it must be like, about the proposal and not towards me personally. So it's just like having these little like mindset shifts, and that's kind of like how I work with my clients as well, to like do like
mhm.
mindset shifts.
Absolutely. I'm such a strong proponent of journaling and writing.
Mm.
I have mine everywhere I go, honestly.
I
Like
love
I
that.
need to just be writing all the time. And I actually have noticed though when I'm in really more difficult difficult times, especially with what's happening right now, I believe,
Mm.
with the Israel-Palestine war, it's been harder for me to actually want to write about how I'm feeling because I'm kind of scared to see
Yeah.
where I go. I don't
Yeah.
know if you've experienced this, but absolutely like writing down your stream of consciousness, writing down lists to kind of see, okay, what is in my mind right now. It helps a lot. But I've definitely been experiencing um like putting it off
I
though.
know exactly how you feel. I feel like sometimes we just need to cry. We just need to feel. We just need to be sad. Like we need those moments.
Mm,
And because I think also as coaches ourselves, like I don't know if you have this tendency of trying to make sense of everything, or like self coach when
mhm,
you're feeling a certain way. So for me, a recent thing that I went through was like I kind of like not like broke up with someone, but I just like stopped like seeing like this guy. And
mm,
the first moment, I was like, I need to put myself in this like coaching mode. I need to like do all these like steps of like journaling and like make myself feel better. And in reality, like I just need to be sad. Like I just need to like listen to sad songs, like watch sad movies and just feel it. And I just wasn't ready in that moment to journal or like put my thoughts into words. I mean, it's so different from like what you said about like, it's like it's completely different with like the war, but it's like I guess in in reality it's still like human emotions, and we all have those
yeah.
times where we're just not ready to move on to like the next step. So, and that's like, that's okay, just be compassionate.
Preach, girl. Yes, that was actually no, such a relatable, a very relatable example as well, because I think we've all been there with you with the breakups and just like wanting to not do anything and listen, yeah, listen to the sad songs, watch the movies and just cry and eat ice cream and just do all of that. And you actually just made me more aware of, yeah, maybe I'm just not ready to feel all of it yet.
Yeah.
Um, and that's okay. And even when I'm aware that I am putting something healing off, like journaling about my feelings or talking through it with a therapist or a coach,
Mhm.
it really is a practice of self-love and compassion to be like, hey, this is okay that I'm not there yet. It's okay. And as coaches, absolutely. I feel like I'm constantly psychoanalyzing
Yeah,
myself and behaviors and actions. I'm like, wait, no, no, no. To actually like move through this, I need to be doing A, B, C, D. But that's actually, I'm not a robot though.
you're not.
I'm not a robot.
Yeah,
So it's okay. Wow, that was actually really, I actually feel like we're in a coaching
I
session
know.
right
I think that's what we're used to doing when we were
now.
at the coaching school. Like when I see you, it would be like a coaching session.
Yes. Oh my God, literally. I love it so much. I actually really need it. So I love it. I do want to also, though, focus on you because I think that you have a really interesting story that I want to learn more about. And I actually don't know too much about your background other than you living in Hong Kong and being from Hong Kong as well. Can you kind of present to me and my listeners like what has led you to this path of like healing and coaching and what kind of propelled you on this path that you are on right now?
Well, thank you for asking that. I love how the way you asked it, that it's the journey that has led me to this moment, I guess.
Mm.
So long story short, I come from a very stereotypical, traditional Chinese family in Hong Kong, and I've so when I was young, I was in like traditional like Chinese school, and I just feel I've always felt like I didn't belong. Like I never do really well in school, and from that I moved to like an international school because it's like for like Chinese parents, they feel like, oh, it's like this the kids who like don't do as well academically, but maybe they're good at like something else, and then they put them into
Mm.
international schools. And from there, I went to college in Paris, and
Mm.
I decided to drop out. Um,
Mm.
and it was the best decision I've ever made. I dropped out because of like mental health issues, just feeling that I don't belong in the city, don't belong to the school, and it's just all very negative feelings at that moment. And I went through like a few years of like depression and anxiety from all my academic experiences, and that's how I started to look for coaches, because I felt like, you know, all the traditional like psychologists in Hong Kong, they don't understand me. They just wanted to like put me on medication.
Mm.
And then I found out that there's actually more like a holistic life coaching path, and I reached out to life coaches, and they really did help me. And then from there, you know, I started my own company. I have, you know, like worked ever since. And during COVID, I felt really alone, and like I think everyone felt alone during COVID. I just felt like, you know, as someone with like no college degree living in Hong Kong, I couldn't travel. I just felt so stuck. And my family was very like, they don't really approve of like being in the creative industry. Like I used to be an events planner, and all my
Mm.
cousins, all my relatives, they're like doctors, lawyers, you know, all the typical things.
Mhm.
And just being stuck at home with my family was making me go crazy. So I decided to start a podcast as kind of like an outlet for me to talk to people, to reach out to people on a similar path as me. So I um, like literally searched up people on Instagram, like just find people who I want to talk to. And that's kind of
Yeah.
like how it started. Yeah, like with my like wellness journey. Um yeah, and then I've always had a idea of maybe because I've had so many positive experiences with life coaches, I maybe want
Mm.
to do this for other people. And it's just been a thought. at the back of my mind for a long time. And somehow on Instagram, I came across the program that we went on, and it just kind of like clicked and it happened. So, and then from there, I think with like self awareness and like finding my purpose and recognizing that I'm the one responsible for my own happiness, like I quit my day job, and then this year, I think around like April, May. So around the time we like graduated our coaching school. So I decided to travel full time and like make it work so I can travel and work at the same time. Yeah. So that's kind of like
Wow.
my life story in a nutshell.
Oh my goodness. There's so many pieces I want to pick apart, and I think I know where I want to start because this is going to be in chronological order. But if we go back to you talking about being raised by a pretty traditional Chinese family with a lot of expectations as to what a successful life is and what that looks like and the careers of what a successful person has. How did you kind of engage with your family at this point? Because I've talked to, and for myself included, my
Mm.
mom being Japanese, like I really do understand and feel you with that type of pressure coming from an Asian family. Like I really get it. How are you able to kind of maneuver that within your family? Like how were you able to still, I don't know if you are still pretty connected with your family, but for those of us out there, there's a lot that feel like we can be just totally disowned if we walk a different path that isn't approving of what our parents want. Like, what would you say to that person?
Honestly, it's a really long and difficult process. Um,
Yeah.
and it's ever changing, I feel, because at the beginning, when I was young, I always thought that it was my own problem, that something was wrong with me, that I did not fit into like what they wanted me to be. And then I actually did try, like I tried to um like be that way, like try to study harder, and obviously it didn't work because that's just not who I am. And then I slowly realized that a lot is from their own insecurities, from how they were treated by their parents. And I think just like acknowledging that really like just real like whew, like that feeling of um
Yes.
yeah, just like release. And like no matter what I do, they will always stay the same. So the only thing that I can do is to change my mindset and to accept that like this is their way of, I guess, like showing love. And obviously it still really like triggers me, and like it's very painful at certain times when they say really insensitive things, when they like compare me to other people. um, but I think at the end of the day, I just need to remember that this is my own life and I get to decide my own happiness and not let other people like take that away from me. And I think it's actually like I've been seeing a lot of like I think posts on Instagram and like just people talk about like breaking this like generational cycle. I think you probably feel the
Mhm.
same. Like being
Yes.
the person who like realize this and to feel different in the family can actually be seen as a blessing, that now we've noticed this kind of like toxic pattern, then we won't bring it to like our next generations, which I'm quite glad.
Yes. Oh my God, I felt you with every word that you just said. And thank you also for being so vulnerable and talking about this really, really sensitive topic. Like, I know when I even think about this and letting my parents down, especially from a cultural perspective, like, it really does. I feel it in my heart because it's such a mixture of emotions because you have so much love and respect for the your parents that literally gave you everything, but at the same time, you understand that there's so much um, projection
Mm,
happening and so much that maybe their generation did not even have an understanding of like what a healing, more I don't know, compassionate path looks like. And what I'm hearing you say is you've developed more really like compassion and love for your parents, understanding like, oh, it makes sense why they wanted me to do this, become a doctor or a lawyer, or go down this path. Like it makes sense. But what I'm also hearing you say is it is more important for you to be able to listen to what your heart needs and what you actually want to do, because they will be your parents no matter what.
mm,
And I always believe like the bottom line is love. Like they can say things that really, really hurt you and trigger you, and maybe even, I don't know, some people really do have to cut off
mm.
relationships with their mom or dad.
Yeah,
But I don't know, it just sounds like the compassion piece is so strong, not just for yourself, for following what you want to do, but for your parents as well.
yeah, and I mean, I say this now because I feel like I've done a lot of really difficult, like, self heal work. And
Mm,
for a long time, I did cut off contact with my mom for a few years. And
mm,
um, I had a tendency of like running away, just like, sleeping over at like my friend's place, when I was in high school, just like doing things like that. So it's come a really long way. Like, and I felt like it was really needed for me to not talk to my mom for all those years to keep myself like sane because I wasn't ready. I wasn't at a point where I was ready to like process what was happening. I didn't even know how to begin how to process. I didn't have like the money and like to go see a therapist, So it definitely took a lot of time.
mm. Oh my goodness. I know like you saying this is just so healing for a lot of people. And it's
Mm,
such a like inspiration as well. And just kind of related to what we were talking about at the beginning of this conversation is, yeah, sometimes you're just not ready to mend and make a relationship work. Like sometimes the most healthy thing for both people involved is distance
mhm.
and strong boundaries. Um, I can connect with you there. Like I've the person with that I love the person that I love the most in my life, but also has caused the most damage and pain is my mom. Um, or just how much I know she cares, but how much also the expectations that has been placed upon me. And I know me choosing higher education, she was a huge influence because she also got her PhD and was a professor. And I always looked at that as like, that is what is going to make her happy if I follow that as well. And so there has been some, I think, unconscious decision making of like, this just is my path. This is how it needs to be. Um, and I think the unconscious part is like, oh, but I just want to make my mom happy and proud
Yeah.
of me. And it's kind of a hard pill to swallow. And I'm still doing a lot of work around it. Um, and I think I will forever be doing a lot of work around this. But it really does help having conversations with people that do have a similar experience. So I'm grateful for this. It's really healing.
Mm, yeah. No, I'm so glad. Like every time when I talk to people with similar background experiences, it's just so like I know it's like a collective, collective. I guess like cultural like trauma, but it's also
Mhm.
healing in a way where we're like now all collectively also realizing this and like working towards healing.
Yes. I'm so interested to hear how it's like in Hong Kong with how the mental health and how this whole industry is and like how it is talked about. And
Mhm.
I know that we're seeing pretty massive shifts with how mental health is kind of put into everyone's like, it's like a major issue that people talk about now. But I'm interested with Hong Kong specifically,
Mhm.
like what's happening there.
I feel like there's a lot of really great people trying to implement a lot of like changes and doing events, doing like public, like how do I say it? Like major scale campaigns with the government and trying to let people know what it's like the facts about mental health because it's very misunderstood in Asian cultures, but it's a really slow process, I would say. And
Mhm.
especially during COVID, I think Hong Kong was one of the places to come out of lockdown, like one of the last cities in the world. And we were just hit so badly that so many like suicides increased. So many people have like increased of like diagnosis. And even just yesterday, I was literally about to go to bed and then I saw this like viral video on Facebook. There's this man who just started like peeing on the like in our MTR, like the subway of Hong Kong. This
Mm.
happened yesterday, and it's just so sad to see how like the city is responding to everything because it's still such like a taboo thing to talk about. People still think like if you go see a therapist, it means you're crazy and it means that like oh you cannot work, you probably will like harm people, and then people get into trouble at work for having mental health issues, and people like of course there's a lot of international companies who help their employees, but there's also a really big part of the local population who don't understand what is going on and they don't know how to get help, and help is really expensive. Like it's like public hospitals, public doctors, it can take like years for you to queue up to get an appointment with a doctor. So
Wow.
it's honestly quite sad to see because a lot of people need help and support, um, but it's just not here. It's just a really slow. It is a progress, but it's just really slow, and I feel like like these topics are quite like are now like normalizing in the West. So most resources are English speaking, but most Hong Kong population are Chinese speaking. Yeah, so it's just there's like a mismatch there, and yeah, so that's the reality of it.
And it just is so important with the work then that you're doing right now and you being based in Hong Kong. And I believe that Japan is similar, actually. I'm hearing kind of a lot of similarities with um, how slow of pace it is to create change. And like it is becoming this normalized um, a norm, but it's more of a Western norm. And
Yes.
it's taking time for that to come to the East. But I also want to be careful by saying, like, I feel like Asia is so spiritual, and there's so much beautiful, like, healing happening in this country, but it is from a different approach and it's talked about differently. Um, However, but in Japan though, that it is like hard to like really go into it though if you're not kind of bringing in Buddhism or something more religious, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain. Like I feel like there's a lot of healing energy, but
Mm.
it's not being like what's the word? Like used.
Integrated.
Integrated, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's not really integrated. And I think I need to do some more digging and research because I see a lot of potential, but it's like what's happening in this country with so many suicide rates, so much loneliness, so many people just not even connecting with the reality that they feel like shit. Like they do not feel good. So they use substances. So much drinking and alcohol is just
Yeah.
part of the culture too. And I think that there's a lot of cultures. But yeah, when you talk about Hong Kong, I'm like, yeah, Japan as well. There's a lot of parallels happening. A lot.
Mm. And I feel like Hong Kong, I mean, I don't know that much about the Japanese culture, but I think Hong Kong is such a unique place because we're like a financial hub. Like we're
Mm,
known for being like the finance center, and then people from all over the world they come here and like they make money, and so it
mm,
is undoubtedly like quite a materialistic society here. So I think there's just a lot. Like I mean, I'm just how do I say, like trying to do like I guess like one person at a time with like interviewing people on my podcast and like doing like workshops and coaching. But I think it's what we do. I try to think that we do make a difference, like slowly, slowly.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Oh my God, absolutely. And I need to also remind myself too, it's like sometimes not even the sessions or the workshops or the events that I host, but also just me, talking about healing with a friend or like creating space
Mm,
um in a group. Like the most simple acts like that, I really believe create a lot of change. And even one person committing to healing,
yeah.
that creates such a ripple effect. And I see that all the time around me. So I think it's important to also, I want to see change happen fast, but I also know that sometimes you don't see it too.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can't really just rely on governments as well and the policies that they're creating. And also, there's such a generational um, issue with it
Mm,
happening as well. Like I know I cannot change my Japanese grandparents' mind about this kind of stuff. Like they think I'm like, what are you doing? What? Really?
mhm.
And that's okay. Like I've totally accepted that. They come from a very different generation, but I don't know. I think that just keeping committed and taking action steps every single day towards this mission that we are on is so, so important, especially with people that I think don't have that mission or sense of purpose. Like seeing people that are on it makes a really, really big difference as well.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah, I think about it a lot, like
Yeah.
culturally too, like in Asia and what's happening in other countries in the Asia Pacific and what governments are doing or how the West is influencing all of this. And there's just a whole, book that can be written on this
Oh, for
topic.
sure. For sure. Yeah.
So much is happening.
I know. It's like so much for us to like take in.
It is, yes. And just a little bit more background for my listeners. The coaching program that we were in, it was a US based program, but there were some people from Asia that were involved, and we were all put in the same pod.
Yeah.
So Leanne and I, being similar time zones, we were in the same pod, and also with a couple more people. We have a good friend named Alvin, who is also on the podcast, actually, based in Singapore, and then some good friends in Australia. But we had a really like tight knit coaching pod every Thursday,
Yeah.
and it felt so like nice to also be connected in the same region and being able to bring up these more cultural issues surrounding mental and emotional health because of the nuance involved,
Mhm.
really coming from a cultural lens. So, yeah, it really is important to talk with, like bringing you on and having Alvin on as well to have that understanding of, yeah, Asian parents are strict. They
Yeah.
expect a lot. And it's a lot of pressure because it's kind of a different conversation with my friends back home in the US,
Mm.
right? It's very, very different. And I remember since I was young, I was always like, why can't my mom just be like my
Yeah.
friend's mom? Like
Yeah.
what?
No, I
What's
remember
the deal?
thinking this all the time, like all the time. And
Like
I
when we
just,
were going to international school.
yeah, because I
Mm.
wasn't allowed to like do many things. Like I wasn't even allowed to watch like Disney Channel because they had like scenes where I remember it so clear. This sounds so funny, but my mom banned me from watching like Hannah Montana because like because Miley Cyrus's character would talk back to her dad like in the show, and then so I was banned from watching it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so
Oh my God. That's
you know,
so, oh
it's like
my
small things like these, and I just feel so sad and so like I guess like different from my friends because they would all like watch the same TV. They would like talk about it at school, and I would be like, oh yeah, like I have like an Asian mom.
like Hannah Montana is part of so many of our childhoods. Like I can't imagine because of that simple fact that in the show she would talk back to her talk back to her dad. Wow, but that really meant that she wanted you to be raised in a way that was respecting and almost like obedient
Mm,
toward the
yeah,
authority, I guess.
yeah.
Oh my goodness. Have you been able to watch Hannah Montana though?
So I found out like so back in the days, um, when YouTube could still you could stream things on YouTube before, you know, people would like I guess like record the episode and then post it on YouTube in like multiple short videos. Yeah, so I would like
What?
try to watch like clips. I would watch clips of the show. It was so funny. But now like I have Disney Plus, so it's okay.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. Oh my goodness. It's so funny. It's one of my favorite TV shows of all time. Hannah Montana.
It's a collective memory for sure.
It is a collective memory. Wow. So now I'm interested, like, it's nice to understand the nuance of how our culture has a big impact in how we choose our paths and understand our sense of worth. And
Mm,
there's so much wounds that I think all of us have, of course, from childhood, but the connections that I hear with specifically people from Asian cultures is really interesting. Can you kind of give us an idea of how you were able to, drop out of college, which is such a big move in a society that's like you must get a
mm,
degree in order to be successful. And then also it connects, I think, with you quitting your job quite recently to
mm,
like having both of these instances of like quitting and not knowing what's to come next. How were you able to do that?
mm. I feel like um those two incidences came from a
Mhm.
really different mindset. Because
Mm,
me dropping out of school, a big part of it, like obviously I was so young. I was quite like I guess like it was like my fight or flight response to that situation, and that was like kind of like running away and like not wanting to deal with like school being so triggering for my mental health and having to all to like I didn't know how to approach it. I didn't know how to like wrap my head around everything that I was feeling when I was in college. So leaving felt like the best thing, the best solution at the time. And now, like quitting my job, it felt such like a confident decision. And
mm,
even though now I'm not the type of person who would um, have like a really strict plan of exactly the type of things I need to do for next year. I used to actually. I used to,
mm,
and then I started to realize that as much as you want to plan in life, most things don't come out as you plan it to be. So might
Mm.
as well just let it flow and to see how it goes and to like stay curious. So that's how my mindset right now. Um, like when I was traveling, sometimes like in like June, I bought a one-way ticket to Thailand, and I didn't want to think about how long I was gonna stay. I didn't want to think about my next destination. I just want to see what opportunity comes up for me and to see how things go. And obviously now we're well in November, so everything has been quite well. Like I got job opportunities, I met new people, I like have all these different streams of income that I did not even expect. And I met so many new people who became such important parts in my life right now. And just opening, just believing that doors will just open up, and that's just how I feel right now. So yeah, just
Mm.
comparing those two, like leaving like
Mhm.
times, it just feels so different. And I'm really glad of where I am right now.
Mm. I love that different approach of um, kind of trusting and going with that flow of life. And I do understand like wanting to plan everything for your next 3 to 5 years, or you have your 6 months, 1 year, three, five. It's like so much planning all the time. The planning never ends. But in reality, there's just so much in life that is it unexpectedly happens. And
Yeah.
it's like, how do you respond to that inevitability,
Mm.
And it kind of sounds like you're cultivated that skill and that mastery of just like, I know that whatever happens in life, like I will be able to come at it with this approach that feels
Mm.
good in my body. It also has proven to be a really good approach for me too. And I think a lot of people are leading a more like, it is a more feminine, flowy, uh, less super, super structured approach to life. At least like you need the structure. I do believe that, of course, but like we're treating the flow just as important as the structure
Yeah.
now.
And I want to add on,
And
like,
part.
it's
Yeah.
so interesting because, well, I say that I don't have like a structured plan, right? But everything, like looking back at this year, everything that's happened is actually things that I manifested before. Like I'm a
Mm,
strong believer in manifestation, and you know how when in manifestation, the best way to manifest is to let things go. Um,
yeah.
like it's
Yes.
it's even like talking to a friend that like, oh, I want to quit my job, like I want to go to all these countries, I want to like do all these like events with my work. It's just times where I have told someone like I have this thought and I really want to do something, and I'm not telling people not to like do strategic planning because that's really important
Right.
too, but
Hmm.
but like I didn't go into a mindset where it's like, oh, I have to make it happen. Like I have to like work with this company. I have to like visit all these countries. Um like it's so like it's I'm still trying to wrap my head around it honestly to how to put it into words. Um because it's such a, I guess, like magical experience for me that
Mm,
things just unfold on its own without me having to be so stressed about it. Okay, yeah, I think actually being stressed versus being easy. I think that's how I feel. That I don't need to be so like uptight and stressed on like making
mm,
something happen. Like I can
yes.
just do everything like step by step, and eventually the outcome is still what I want it to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah. That makes it makes so much sense. And you're right. It really is like, what is this magic happening? Like, what, how does that actually work? But it really is like, I love what you said. Sometimes you just need to like let go and whatever it is that you are holding on so tightly to, because there is a fear behind, okay, if you let go, how will my life will my life fall apart? If it's like a job, like it's a sense of security that's being maybe taken away from you. If it's a relationship, it's like, well, oh my God, it's love. Will I ever find love again? It's like if you hold on so tight, of course there's no room for what you want to be coming in. So once you do let go of whatever you're gripping onto, it's like then the magic starts to like happen because it's there. It just needs to
Yeah.
come through.
Yeah. Yes.
And it's crazy when you like when you really do it's like, but it's so real though. Like the amount of times that I've just oh, had to understand that control equals nope, you're not going to get what you want.
Yeah.
But it's like how we're sometimes it's how we're trained to be safe though. It's
Mm.
how we're literally conditioned to be safe in society is I am able to protect myself by just like having all this and holding on really tight. But there's just so much more power in the ability to just, yeah, surrender to all of that that is unknown. And
Yeah.
I am, yeah, absolutely agree. Like manifestation is so real. And it also is super important to note it's like not a complacency thing. It doesn't come just from, you can't just like think about
Mm.
it. But
Yeah.
it's so much action taking that is aligned with what you truly want. Like there's
Yeah.
so many other things that are happening in the equation of manifestation.
Yeah. Like it's so interesting because a lot of times people kind of like question me like on social media that, oh, do you just think about something and then it happens? Or they're like, oh, like, do you have a sugar daddy? Like, who is paying for all your travels? I've had those questions
Um,
just so many times, and I think because we do practice like I guess more spiritual things, we
yeah.
forget that the little things that we do in real life falls into the equation, like saving money and like actually like networking with people, going to like work events, and those are all the seeds that I planted that enabled me to do all these things I can now. Like, I mean, the reason why I could quit my job was because I had the opportunity to host a retreat in Phuket. And that was like a deal that I've been talking about for like half a year before. And a lot of times people don't see that like behind the scenes of what was happening. They just saw that like, oh, you quit your job and you went to Phuket, and that was it. But there's just so much that goes behind, and I feel that that is part of manifestation, like doing the actual work, like getting yourself prepared when those opportunities came.
Mhm.
And obviously, you have to know the right people. You have to put yourselves in the right situations where you could have possible opportunities.
Mhm. Oh, yes. What I'm hearing you say is it's the action. It is the action that I think um, people that don't necessarily believe in manifestation or know about it, they're like, it's just whatever. It just doesn't make any sense. But it really is, like you said, you're planting these seeds through the action taking, which is the networking, the reaching out, the every single day doing something that is feeding into your vision. And that's the part that is really one of the biggest parts, I think, of it. Like it wouldn't be just like out of the blue. Like everything that you've been able to manifest in your life, it's been a work in progress. And it's also really hard to tell through social media, of course. In this age of social media, it's like everyone is just rolling their eyes at people being like, oh, it's just, it triggers people because it's like, why
Yeah,
them?
yeah,
Why them?
yeah. No, that is so true. It's so triggering. I know it's so triggering for people because I get hate comments sometimes.
Mm,
And they're just like, why can you just travel? Why can you like do all these things? And a lot of times I ask like, you can too. Like why not?
why not? Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
Like,
actually so important that you are triggering them.
and I feel like I don't want to, like make everything sound so easy because it's not. But
Right.
a lot of people who are stuck in their jobs, who are stuck in an environment that they don't like, and I have friends like that who come and talk to me, and like they will have all these worries about like, oh, having stable income, having money, having just routine, having support, and all these things. I mean, just being in this journey myself, I've been through like so many ups and downs where I lack support, where I lack many things, and at the end of the day, you make those things happen for yourself. Like,
Right.
yeah,
It's such a sense of responsibility happening.
yeah,
And I'm still really practicing that as well. It's like, if I really want to make my vision come to life and lead a life that is just so grounded in purpose, um, it's me, it's self-responsibility. Like, there's no one else that will make it happen. Like, it can be co-created and with support. I absolutely
mhm,
believe that support is so, so important through this whole process in all of our lives. But
yeah,
if you're not willing to take that step forward, like, no one is going to be there to push you, really. Um, it really is you that does it all. So I think it's such an important point that we were able to make with manifestation, because there is a lot of, yeah, I know a lot of people have an issue essentially with this whole like idea of it, because yeah, it is really triggering. It is like, is it just like spiritual like bullshit stuff? But it's like, actually no, it's so practical, actually.
yeah,
Very practical.
yeah.
I do want to ask you, so I know one of your core philosophies and a core sort of value that you promote a lot is love, like especially self-love and self-compassion and inclusivity and all
Mhm.
these belongingness. Like, I can relate. Like, that's one of my biggest values is love. And a self-love journey is also something that might be a little bit triggering to people as well. Or not just triggering, but like, oh yeah, self-love, like it's so overused as a concept that it now lacks meaning, that people are like, oh yeah, self-love, like, right, getting a massage, having a glass of wine, getting my nails done, like very surface. Which, by the way, I love doing all of that
Mhm.
stuff too.
Me too. We all
Not judging, not judging that, but it's like, I wanted to ask you first, like, what does self-love mean to you? And what does that look like in your life right now?
The first word that came to me when you asked me the question was like self acceptance. Um,
Mm,
Also, kind of like going back to the beginning of the conversation, just like letting yourself be, and
mhm,
just not judging or criticizing our actions, and just let ourselves like be in the moment to release, to react, um, to do whatever we feel like. Yeah,
mm,
I think that's the main thing. I'm still working on it, because
mm,
sometimes I look at myself at a lens and I go like, oh, this is like out of character, or this is not the like elegant image that you want to portray, for example. I
mhm.
think coming from Asian families, we
Yeah.
are so expected to have these sort of image, like being poised, being like polite, being all these things, and then when we act out of the circle, we tend to judge ourselves. So I think it's just slowly taking that away and accepting us for who we are. Like now that like just a small thing. Like when I'm in like
Yeah.
Southeast Asia, like I just stopped wearing a bra because
Mm.
people there don't even wear a bra. But
Yes.
if my parents see me, they will disown me. Like if I like go braless on the street. But it's
Mhm.
kind of just like, letting yourself be free, letting your body like do what it wants, you know?
Yes. Oh my God. Yes, yes, yes. There's so much, especially like you said, um, expected of Asian women. And I've thought of this a lot more recently as well with how I've been raised and how I feel like I need to present myself versus how I really authentically am. Like
Mm.
it is quite a big difference. And I even know when I'm not being myself, but it's like a conditioned, polite, obedient version of myself, is I feel it like in my body immediately because I like tense up.
Yeah.
I really feel it um like somatically.
Yeah.
Uh it's like in my stomach too, like even the way I sit or even the way I express, like I am much more closed because it's like literally um not my fullest expression.
Mm.
And it's so I see it so much in society here as well, where I think and I'm going to speak specifically for women. It's like sometimes you see a version of a person that's so free and authentic at some points, but other points it's like they go back into their like and that's okay
Yeah.
as well because it is a journey to like come out of that conditioning, but um it's really hard. It's like really, really hard to come out of it. Like I still feel so, I don't know, living here for the past 5 years in Japan, it's like I want to um be free and just like you said, like live more authentic and open and not feel like I need to obey these types of expectations, but I still unconsciously do it all the time. And then I can also feel myself judging other women too when I'm like, oh,
Mm.
wow, that's not very respecting behavior. That's not really like what a woman should be doing. Like I catch myself and I'm like, whoa, wait though. Wait just a second. Who am I to judge when actually like I can see myself wanting to do something like she just did too, but maybe I'm just a little scared in this moment in time too. It's a lot that you're peeling back
Yeah.
constantly every single day.
Yeah, for sure. I feel the same. Like I resonate with that so much, just like being in Hong Kong. Because the environments, because everyone judges everyone. So,
Yes.
and like I'm
Mhm.
sure even just unconsciously you hear people on the street, you hear people like you hear your friends like talking shit about other people. And then
Oh yeah.
it's so easy to fall into that pattern. I think for me, that's why I like to travel. That's why I like to like expose myself to different cultures and to different people because this is not normal. Like I don't know how many people I'm offending, but like I really don't think it's normal to feel like you said like the clenched um
Yeah, the tensing.
yeah like getting so tense and to judge yourself because just like from my travels to like Bali to like Thailand, I see people um just being so kind and so compassionate towards each other. They don't care about like what kind of clothes they're wearing, like if they have makeup on or not. I do think it's like a big city thing where we live in these cities and we judge people by their like appearances. So I think just to keep myself grounded, I just
Mm,
like I like to see other ways of life, like on my travels to
yeah.
remind myself that it's totally doable to be free, to be yourself, to be authentic.
Mm, mm-hmm. 100%. Being able to expand your um, understanding of how other people are living in the world is so important. I really felt like that when I first came to Japan. I lived in Montana for basically all of my life, which is like
Mm.
a really small populated state in America. It's like a lot of nature, not big city at all. And how people live there versus like big city Tokyo, it is so different. And I know what you're saying by like the status thing in big cities is just overwhelming at
Mm.
times. And status is um, perceived through your external, what you're wearing and how you're presenting yourself and what you're talking about and where
Yeah.
you are and all these things. And I think it could get really just overwhelming, and you sometimes get lost in all of that and forget really who you are
Mm.
in the midst of it. And it makes sense why there's a lot of stress in cities like this.
Yeah.
It makes so much sense. And just meeting yourself if you're feeling like that, like it's okay that you feel any emotion and feeling that you feel, it is so valid. That's like the first step, is just not judging any of it. Just don't
Yeah.
judge it. But also being able to just know like you being who you are, and if you want to be more free and talk about the things that really light you up that you're kind of scared to talk about but you really want to, like you're free to do so. And it's not your purpose to make sense to other people. It's not
Mm.
your purpose to like please and satisfy your family. It's not your purpose to like make everything so orderly and nice all the time. Like life is fucking messy. Life is just so messy. And like I really got from our conversation today that it it's important to like give yourself that affirmation, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like especially in the chaos, especially in the social media chaos that's happening, and in the big city life, and the family talking and the judgments, and there's just a lot that our minds and brains have to deal with every
Yeah.
day.
We're like, whew.
It's like, okay, okay, it's okay. I'm still in my body. I can still come back.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so beautiful that you are able to travel and meet with people from so many different walks of life on so many different paths. And just, I think travel is also a great time to like connect with yourself on a
Yeah.
deeper level too. And actually, that's practice of self-love, I think, as well, is like allowing yourself to like adventure, even if it's by yourself and even if
Mm.
it's scary. Like you trusting yourself to do that is just so loving. And you're such a beautiful example of that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This is so like I feel like this conversation has been so healing.
It has been, it really has been. And I'm like really excited to unpack more of your story. And I still want to get to know you more and more deeply. And I hope to visit you, or maybe you come to
Yeah, I
Japan,
love
or we do
to.
some kind of reunion, DCI reunion somewhere in Asia. I
Yes.
would love that so much. Before we end this conversation, I do want to ask you, where can listeners find you? And can you kind of give my listeners also a little idea of like what's to come next for your business, your life, like any fun plans for 2024? Give us some ideas of what's to come for Leanne.
Well, thank you so much, Nina, for having me on this pod today. It's been wonderful. I would love to come visit you and to do something in person with you. Um, and everyone can find me on Instagram, Leanne Blue. Blue is BLU. And I'm on my podcast, Beyond the Label, on anywhere you're listening right now. And I release an episode. I try to do it like once a week. So you guys can just stay updated. And next year, I'm hoping to launch like my coaching program finally,
Yeah.
Q1 next year. Thank you. And I do like seasonal workshops, retreats, hoping to do a retreat in Bali in May. So I do things like all over the world, just like when I travel, so you guys can just stay updated to see if there's any happenings where you guys are. Hopefully, maybe we can do something in Japan with Nina.
Yes. Oh my God. When you said Bali and your retreat in Bali, I was like, it sounds amazing. And I've just been able to see so many incredible pictures from your retreat through your Instagram. So definitely check out Leanne's Instagram. I'll put that all in the show notes as well. So you'll be able to find her and connect with her. So thank you so, so much, beautiful, for this incredible afternoon. Um, I am really grateful for this conversation and um, I adore you so, so much.
Thank you. I adore you too. Thank you so much for everything.
Oh, and thank you so much, Light of Insight listeners. We will be back with another episode soon. Bye.
Bye.